Well, hello everybody. I'm going to do this live. I got 15 minutes and then I got to go into my 3 hour school session. And today a lot happened in the House of Commons while I was working. Pierre Poilievre was ejected out of the House of Commons for basically calling Justin Trudeau a wacko. Then he tried to change it to extremist. Then he tried to articulate that he was notoriously perverse. And of course, the House Speaker didn't like that, threw Pierre Poilievre out. Justin Trudeau himself was warned a few times for calling Pierre Poilievre an extremist too. And then here's the thing, folks. Justin Trudeau accused Pierre Poilievre of shaking hands with alt-right extremists. He's basically saying these are national socialist psychos. That's what he's basically saying, and he accused Pierre Poilievre of breeding that. But folks, I'm going to tell you all, as I tell everybody, left, right, does not matter with the crown. We are entirely legally codified as socialist, fascist extremists in our entire crown. Doesn't matter which party. You can grab Bloc, PPC, Conservatives, Liberal, NDP, Green Party. You get, with all constitutional monarchies, you get socialism and fascism combined. Go look at the history of every single psycho, massive human rights violator, national extremist groups are all alive and well today in all the kingdoms around the world, and all histories of every single extremist groups. There's some big ones out there. You can go look. You can go look at the Nazis. You can go look at the Muslim Brotherhood. You will find a kingdom, a constitutional monarchy at the heart, at the root of it, with a constitution in a pyramid scheme where they list divine human beings. Does this start to make sense when you say, hey, I have a list of politicians, elected or appointed? The appointed is the crown, and these folks are divine. They have special rights that nobody else has. Zero accountability. They even have incredible, crazy, psycho, wacko extremist titles. His Majesty, His Lord, or Her Worship, and it goes on and on at every single level of the crown in all of Canada's history, and in exact same history of all of the other kingdoms and all the monarchies. Think about it, folks. I've said this many years ago. If you raise a child, I'm going to try to simplify this. If you raise a child and you call that kid stupid, no good, nothing, never was, loser, and you pound that into a child, you know you're going to get a broken human being who's not going to function in society. Now, on the reverse, if I call you His Majesty or Her Worship or His Lord, Her Divinity, and on, there's so many titles. Your Highness, your goes on and on. There's probably 24 customary titles associated with all these folks. You've seen it in court. If you've ever been in court and you have a lawyer representing you at different levels of court, you'll see the lawyer will use these customary titles, and you'll go, oh yeah, now I'm paying attention. Think about it. If every day you're called Your Lord, Your Majesty, Your Worship, Your Highness, and on and on and on, all day long, every day, and everyone has to kiss your butt because somehow you're superior, how long until you are a psycho, wacko extremist? How long? I think it takes about 2 weeks for an adult treated in that capacity. You take anybody off the street, you get them into office, whether elected or appointed. I've seen it myself. Someone who is in poverty most of their life gets elected really by luck and the party they attached to, and literally they became that POS in record time. And they will. Just like if you constantly run somebody down, eventually you're going to breed a psycho. Just like if you continually make somebody superior, greater than everybody else, greater than anything, they're going to start to believe it. They're going to start to act through life like that. This is the truth of all your politicians. They've been bred into it, bought into it, gravitated into it over time, and it poisons your mind. You can't make narratives like that. You look at countries that are strong, much stronger than Canada and every other lunatic monarchy in history, and I promise you folks, when you find a lunatic country with this extremism, left or right, sometimes it's left, sometimes it's right, but you'll find the same markers of crazy and cockamamie. And you'll see unitary states or extreme civil law socialists. Doesn't matter the race, doesn't matter the era. All these things happen. You give divinity to people. You create class structure. That is the definition of fascism. And then you throw in the socialism of assigning equity of the person. You've got a recipe for disaster, a recipe for the worst human rights violations ever. Canadians are really polluted into this. We're born into it. We're institutionalized. When it's your politicians pointing the fingers at you and saying, you're this, you're that, I'm not, you are, you're in big trouble, because it's them who's created it. It's the nature of the legal beast that is our country. And it's not a matter of if, but it's when the politicians will go too far. If people didn't see that in COVID, I don't know what to tell you. If you haven't seen it just with carbon tax, I don't know what to tell you. If you didn't see it in the First World War, I don't know what to tell you. If you didn't see it in the Second World War, I don't know what to tell you. And I can go on and on. I've listed so much history of conservative, liberal, and NDPs there backing one later on in the decades, and there's many parties before that and since that. They all do it. They're all socialist fascist. That's an extremist. That's a recipe beyond a national socialist. There's the nationalism, but it's the nationalism of that crown on the head. It's the idea of divinity of the human being. Now, I've run out of time here. I've got to do 3 hours of university tonight here, and again I have to do another one on Thursday. That's kind of a schedule change, so it's tough. And I had a tough weekend, but folks, share it out, get it out there, educate people, because when you let the politicians get away with these narratives, when you empower them, they're the ones bringing the extremism. I can tell you that. They're the ones who are conditioning and institutionalize all this hate because of equity of the person and their superiority as divine human beings. And again, if you don't know that, I am sorry. Go pull your Constitutional Acts of Canada, and I suggest to you, run through that start to finish, and at the same time have a separate document called the Constitution of the United States. And if you can't go back and forth, preamble, preliminary, in our designs and go through it and not see clearly that we are opposite of everything of we the people, in fact, we're nothing even remotely close. You've got to read hundreds of pages before you even know what you are. And it takes a lot, 2/3 of that document, to know what you are. USA Constitution, you know who you are just from the preamble onward. And they clearly go through it, your Bill of Rights, all of it, and they cement the people at every stage. You see every check and balance. You can see that the government is of the people. Totally opposite in Canada. Totally opposite. And that should really scare people. It should really make you look when you see the parliamentary debates today and you go review that and the words said. I'm telling you, Justin Trudeau's an extremist, a socialist fascist. Pierre Poilievre is a socialist fascist. The poor subjects of Canada, it's no wonder they're into it, because it's a top-down effect, right? I think we've all worked for those companies that treat the guys like crap, They piss all over everybody. They can't run their house right or their organization right. And, you're amazed that they get through things, and it's usually a buddy-buddy deal why they do. That's Canada. That's Canada. And when we start looking at the truth, we start looking at what great achievements has Canada ever done, we start looking at the world stage and not only in relation to the rest of the Commonwealth or constitutional monarchies. With all the resources we have in this vast landmass, why are we not breaking any records on anything? How come we're in the toilet? Really, it makes no financial sense, makes no economic sense, but clearly it makes perfect legal sense. And like I said, if every Canadian took the time to at least once in their life take the constitutional acts of Canada, start to finish 1867, all the way through all your 11 amendments, and then some court changes, they're all logged there, and you read it all consolidated, Lewis and Hole, you go read it consolidated next to the United States of America Constitution, that should really trigger alarm bells. And sadly, it's not our civics, it's not our education, and we're never going to get that freely from the government. They want you dumbed down. They don't want you to know. They want you to accept your fate, which is socialist and fascist, by design, by legal terminology. You're not the problem. It's your top-down politicians who are the problem. It's the crown. They create it. They breed it. They love it. They love the division. They want the racism. They want the hate. And don't ever kid yourself, they don't. Because that's how they stay in power. That's how they keep you all weak. That's my video. Share, share, share. Credible, real, verifiable. Bye now.